Welcome to Weekly Conversation with Ashok Malik. Today we're going to be discussing about Advani versus Narendra Modi. And today, the day we are shooting, the results of by-polls in Gujarat and Bihar has come up, in which BJP has done well in Gujarat, whereas BJP's partner in Bihar, JDU, Nitish Kumar's JDU, hasn't done well in Bihar. So, Ashok, to begin with, let's first get the Advani part of the debate going. We saw Mr. Advani, at least the press reports suggested that Mr. Advani has been trying to first push for Nitin Gadkari's name when it came to the selection committee for the upcoming state polls. But he said no, he doesn't want to get into this fight between both the figures. So what's going on? Is Mr. Advani still not given up his ambition?
I think Mr. Advani would want, does see himself as a prospective Prime Minister. Unfortunately, at his age and with the defeat of 2009 behind them, and with the curiosity and popularity of Narendra Modi, as is apparent from his public meetings and his public functions and his opinion polls, not many in the BJP share that. However, Mr. Advani, for reasons best known to him, is convinced that he is a better option. I don't think he's really interested in propping up Nitin Gadkari or Shivraj Singh Chauhan or whoever. It is, in a sense, an attempt to block Mr. Modi or naming somebody else as a prime ministerial candidate or as the face of the campaign. To take the big picture, I think Mr. Advani can delay and has delayed the inevitable anointment, for lack of a better word, of Modi as the the face of the campaign. While he has delayed it, I don't think he can entirely deny it.
Okay.
Because there is a logic that politics follows. Modi may fail, Modi may succeed, we don't know. People will decide in a year. But the BJP seems to have decided or seems to have accepted that he is their best bet at the moment.
What about the role of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh? Because time and again we always see his name coming up. He has himself denied. He at one point he said that there are more. Why just Modi? There are more PM candidates, and then he said no, I'm not in any sort of a race with Modi. But then of course we had Advani calling him or sort of comparing him with Vajpayee. And saying that perhaps he has done a better job compared to Modi in Gujarat. So is he? Does he personally have any ambition, or he's just becoming one of the pawns in the whole game?
See, there are two things here. One, Shivraj Singh Chauhan has been a very successful chief minister. He has an election coming up in December this year. We don't know how the election will go. The BJP seems well set, but it may well lose. You never know in the election. But irrespective of how the election goes, Shivraj has had a very good record as chief minister. There have been a few controversies here and there, as there are with everyone. But overall, the road situation in Madhya Pradesh is better than it was. Its roads were a joke at one point. They're much better now.
Out of the Bimaru tag.
It's climbing out of Bimaru. The electricity situation is much better. If you look at agriculture growth, even taking into account the fact that there is probably better monitoring of agriculture produce now, and some of the growth is probably explained by that. Even if you accept that logic, which some people have offered, growth percentages of 12, 14, 15, 16% are very, very high. I mean, especially in agriculture, which grows at 2-3%. And then, if it grows at 3%, is considered a great achievement. So, Madhya Pradesh, from a very low base, admittedly, has shown very impressive economic results. And Shivraj has proved to be an astute politician, a very good administrator. There have been controversies, as there are with everyone, but overall he hasn't done a bad job at all. He's been one of the BJP's better chief ministers. He's added to the perception that the real strength of the BJP, the real energy of the BJP, the real talent of the BJP is now in the states. Whether it's Modi in Gujarat, whether it's Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh, whether it's Raman Singh in Chhattisgarh, whether frankly it's Vasundhara Raje in Rajasthan. Because if the BJP wins in Rajasthan, more than a BJP victory, it will be a Vasundhara victory. And she did a very good job as chief minister as well, even though she lost narrowly. Now, does Shivraj Singh Chauhan see himself as the contender for the prime minister's post? All politicians can be ambitious, and there's nothing wrong with ambition. But from my understanding, I could be wrong, but from my understanding of the BJP and of the individuals involved, and from what I've been told, Shivraj acknowledges that this is Narendra Modi's moment, that he is, for the moment, the senior person, and the national buzz is about him. From what I know, there is no great rivalry between the two of them. They are in regular touch, they get along quite well. They are astute, pragmatic politicians who understand each other's strengths, weaknesses, and limits. There has been an attempt to play up Shivraj as a rival to Modi. It's happened in sections of the media. I remember Ramchandra Guha made this point on television once, that Shivraj should be the BJP's candidate. Now, with due respect to Ram Guha, who is a friend of mine, he is never going to vote for the BJP in his life. So
in many sense, what you're suggesting is
so
that
a lot of
Chauhan is
people-
a more acceptable for the non-BJP voters.
well, if you're not, a lot of people who are never going to vote for the BJP, even if Hema Malini leads the BJP, are suggesting that Modi is not acceptable, Shivraj is acceptable, there is a rivalry between them. I find this bizarre. Mr. Advani has, admittedly, within the party, and Mr. Advani will vote for the BJP, of course, he has played on this sense of a rivalry between the two of them, which he did in Gwalior as well, where he could have praised Shivraj, and he had to praise Shivraj because he was in Shivraj's state 6 months before a state election. But unfortunately, by bringing in comparisons with Modi, saying he is humble and implying the other person is not humble, he just messed up his message a bit, deliberately or otherwise. But apart from that little intervention, I have got no sense in the BJP that there's any great rivalry between Modi and Chauhan. It may emerge 3 years later, I don't know, but today I don't detect it.
What led to the propping up of Shivraj Singh Chauhan's name? Did it come from inside the party, or was it sort of planted from outside?
In Mr. Advani's case, I don't think he sees Shivraj Singh Chauhan as a prime ministerial candidate. I think Mr. Advani sees himself as prime ministerial candidate, to be fair to him. And he would want a situation where the so-called second generation of the BJP, all of whom are now past 60 or close to, will not be able to decide among themselves, and he will emerge as once more as the compromise. That would be his calculation. So I don't think he's batting for Shivraj against Modi. I think he's just trying to confuse things so that he gets another shot.
How long do you see this churning that's going on in BJP to continue?
Search for a new identity, for a new leader and a new identity, both, has been on since 2004, since the defeat of 2004. The BJP in the 1990s, the early or mid 1990s, when it came to power, stood for a certain idea, a certain India. Many of those issues have now moved on. Some of the economics the BJP propagated at that point has been accepted across the spectrum, okay, even by regional parties. In fact, some regional parties are actually more right-wing in the economic agenda than the BJP is. Identity politics and the politics of Ayodhya and Hindutva, frankly, has ceased to be as relevant electorally. It may still exist socially, okay, but in terms of being a political dynamic or in terms of electoral appeal, it has ceased to matter the way it did in the 90s. So, and in addition to that, of course, Mr. Advani is aging, Mr. Vajpayee has retired. So, for the BJP, the big question since 2004 is, has been rather, after Atal Advani, who? After the 1990s, what? What are we? I think after a long 9-year process, almost 10-year process, it ideally should have happened in 1 year, but these things don't happen according to plan. After a 9-year process, that issue is more or less being settled. For better or worse, the party feels that Modi is the leader who will give it, who can optimize its seats. Okay? And for the first time since Vajpayee, you have a leader who can take you to a very high threshold in the Lok Sabha election. Now, this may be right, this may be wrong, we don't know, but the party has to take that chance. Second, Modi's appeal as a sort of no-nonsense, authoritative leader, not authoritarian, but authoritative, who delivers on economic growth and on prosperity, seems to be the platform the party is moving towards adopting. Now, of course, this prosperity and growth mean different things to different people and different things to different parts of India. But the template of a more prosperous India where the economy grows, everyone benefits, all boats rise, that template seems to be the one that will work. It worked for the Congress to some degree in 2009. The Congress didn't quite live up to those expectations. So the BJP will try and say we can do a better job with Modi as the possible face.
Apart from Chauhan, of course, within the NDA you have Nitish Kumar and JDU. Nitish, as we all know, also has equally ambitious when it comes to acquiring the seat at Delhi. We saw Bihar by polls, JDU has lost, and it unexpectedly, one of the seats I think was unexpected. They were expecting to win it. Gujarat, on the other hand, BJP continues to win, and the tally has gone up. I think it's 190 something, right?
Yeah, and it's defeated the Congress in seats. I think the 4 assembly seats and the 2 Lok Sabha seats were all held by the Congress. So now they've changed.
So now all in BJP's kitty. So Nitish Kumar, Chauhan, yeah, you're right, largely clear that perhaps this is Modi's moment, so he might not intervene. But with Nitish Kumar be obstructive?
You see, the results in Maharajganj, the seat which the JDU-BJP alliance seems to have lost as we speak, are interesting and telling. It was believed that Nitish has more or less decided to walk out of the NDA. But he was holding on till the Maharajganj election because the social coalition, where the BJP brings the urban and some upper caste vote, and Nitish brings the Kurmis and the some of this backward vote, the OBC vote, and some of the Dalit vote. This social coalition would be would work or would be tested or would work in Maharajganj, which has a substantial upper caste vote. And that Nitish was waiting to win this seat and then break up perhaps. The fact that this alliance has not worked on the ground in Maharajganj is indicative of the fact that perhaps this social coalition is cracking, and perhaps the Nitish or JDU BJP honeymoon is actually over.
So when you're saying it's cracking, do you mean on the ground the workers are not on the same
Workers,
page?
voters, supporters, I mean, obviously something has not worked. Something which was working in the rest of Gujarat, the rest of Bihar 2 or 3 years ago is now not working. Otherwise, for an incumbent party, for a party that is in government in the state, and is putting all its resources and effort into a by-election, to lose a by-election is generally unusual. If you look at Gujarat, for instance, of course the BJP has done well, but frankly it's also in power. That gives you a bit of an advantage. If you have a by-election in, let's say, Karnataka tomorrow, I expect the Congress to win, even if it has lost the seat earlier. Okay, because being in power, you have a certain advantage. Momentum is with you. So in that sense, losing Maharajganj would be a setback for, though it was a tough seat, would be a setback for Nitish. There has been a perception that if the BJP and the JDU break up, and if there is a 3-way contest in Bihar, there have been questions as to what will happen. Chances are Lalu will gain because the Muslim Yadav combination with some Dalit vote is a very strong, numerically strong combination, and it could push him to first place. If Modi is the All India figure that some people in the BJP think he is, then he could get a sizable section of the upper caste vote, the urban vote, some of the OBC vote, and the general anti-Lalu vote, and probably give Lalu a good fight and finish a strong second. This is a best case scenario for the BJP. I don't know whether this is true, but this is a possible scenario. In which case, what is Nitish left with? If he's lost the upper caste and the urban vote, if he's seen as the weaker of the 2 anti-Lalu candidates, and if he's lost the Muslim vote entirely to Lalu, then he's actually left with only his core Kurmi vote and a few others. And he could easily slip to 3rd place.
But won't the alliance with Congress help in any gains?
For Nitish?
Yeah.
if he allies with the Congress. I don't think there's any guarantee they will ally with the Congress.
Okay.
The Congress and Lalu would probably ally.
But if he moves out of BJP, the chances are he might actually stay sort of independent of both the large.
Well, that's his gamble.
Okay.
That's his gamble. But and he would be gambling on the Muslim vote splitting between Lalu and him, and some of it staying with him. But if the Muslim vote entirely goes towards Lalu, because it sees him as the formidable anti-Modi candidate or campaigner, then Nitish could be in trouble. And Maharajganj is, telling in that sense.
Lastly, what do you predict for the upcoming state polls?
See, you can't really say, because all of these are states where, frankly, these are bipolar, apart from Mizoram, which is bipolar between the MNF and the Congress. The other 4 states, Delhi, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, are bipolar between the Congress and the BJP. So generally speaking, the vote difference is very small. So I wouldn't want to venture a guess as to who's going to win or who's not going to win. In Delhi, after 15 years in office, the Congress does face an anti-incumbency, and of the 5 states, Delhi is the most susceptible to a national mood because it's the national capital, it's an urban seat. On the other hand, between Sheila Dikshit and Vijay Goyal, who's the BJP's possible chief ministerial candidate, Sheila Dikshit has a certain appeal. Though
Still continues to be a popular chief minister.
she does, though the party, her party is facing a incumbency problem in Delhi. So we don't know how that will go. Vasundhara will probably have a very good chance of winning in Rajasthan.
But what about Chhattisgarh? I mean, after the recent attacks, there seem to be, I mean, at least media reports suggest there seem to be an anger within the cadres, and of course perhaps that might influence the voters as well, because I mean a lot of people are accusing BJP. I mean, let's not get into the blame game.
Look, if there was an attack of this nature, and then obviously the state government has to take some responsibility, no question about that. And there would obviously be a certain sympathy for the Congress, because leadership gets wiped out in this manner, which is completely tragic and horrific. And while the bigger enemy remain those who killed these people, the Maoist groups that killed these people, in an election situation, it's BJP versus Congress. It's not you versus the Maoist. The Maoists are not a factor there. So it is possible that the Congress will mobilize more votes. Raman Singh remains a formidable chief minister and a successful chief minister, but as I said, the Congress has never been too far behind, and it suffered a setback as lots of very good leaders. To lose your state Congress president in this manner, the way he was killed and his son was killed, was horrific. Let's see. I can only wish the Congress well.
Thanks a lot for talking to us.